Hey everyone, and welcome to Seek and Find Life. If you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you're a participant in the Seek and Find Life Habit program, and that you already know who your sponsor is. If you're not a participant in the program, I recommend you go to the What is Seek and Find Life video to find out a little bit more about our program. If you are in the program but you're not sure who your sponsor is, then I would go ahead and ask whoever sent you this video, and they might be able to help you out. With all that, I think we can go ahead and get started. This video is just going to be a little bit of an introduction into the program so that you can have a successful time here with Seek and Find Life. So first question, a little bit of a review, is what is Seek and Find Life? Seek and Find Life is a program to help you build healthy habits, and it's also a program to help you with mental health and relationships. But today we're going to be focusing on building healthy habits. Just to give a little bit of an overview of the program, there's basically three main components to the program. The first is participant meetings, the second is sponsor coaching, and the third is tracking and support. And really the main component for you to focus on as a participant is going to be the meetings. The most common meeting frequency is weekly, and so probably you'll be meeting, once a week with some other people, maybe one other person, to work on your habits together. And that's really the main part of the program. Behind the scenes, your sponsor is going to be tracking and then kind of supporting you to make sure that everybody is able to achieve their goals, and then also giving some coaching. Whatever they see, they're going to try and help you out and support you with whatever you need. So just to get started, it's important that your sponsor has some basic information just to make sure that they can support you in the best way. And so there's 5 things that you can go ahead and send to your sponsor. And I'll put these 5 things in the description of the video as well, so you can go ahead and look down there if you forget or don't want to go back and find the slide. Number 1 is how often you're going to meet. So probably you're meeting with a partner or with a small group. The most common meeting frequency is weekly, but feel free to do whatever works for you. A couple times a week or a couple times a month, whatever is going to work best for you is going to work best for you. Second is the meeting time. So maybe it's Tuesday at 1 p.m. or maybe it's another time, but letting your sponsor know what time your meeting is going to help them to understand when to check in with you and different kinds of things. Third is what each participant's habit is. So maybe you're working out, maybe you're reading the Bible, maybe you're covering the life studies, or maybe you're learning something new. But no matter what it is, you can just let your sponsor know whatever each person is doing. And also, don't feel limited to have both people doing the same thing. We have many groups where one person is doing one thing and the other person or other people are doing other things. But at the same time, if you'd like to do the same thing, that's great too. And then fourth, each person's goal. So this is helpful to have something that's specific and measurable so you can see, each week if you're tracking according to your goal or not. So for example, let's say that you want to work out. You can say my goal is to work out 30 minutes per day, 4 days a week. And then that's very clear so that you know how you're doing when you come week to week and you can share your progress. And then number 5 is who the point of contact is and what the check-in schedule should look like. So usually when you have a group, it's helpful for the sponsor to know who's kind of the point of contact, who's going to have the information, who's the first person to talk to whenever they have any questions. And then also to set up a little bit of a check-in schedule so that they can be aware of what's going on in your group. So for example, if you're meeting on Tuesday, maybe you can check in with your sponsor on Wednesday. And that can look different ways. Maybe it's just a text message, maybe it's a short phone call, but whatever works for you, you can just work that out with your sponsor. And after you send all this information to your sponsor, then you can go ahead and get started. Next, I want to briefly cover something that we call the Seek and Find Life conversation template. And you might be wondering, what is the conversation template and why does it exist? So the first thing we want to do is answer a couple questions about the template, and then we'll jump into it. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that we want to keep this video somewhat short, so we're not going to explain the template in very much detail. We're basically just going to show it and then give an example of how to use it, and then give a couple of pointers. Later, we'll share another video that goes into the conversation template in much more detail, so if you're interested in learning more about it, you can go ahead and watch that video. So the first question is, why do we have a conversation template? And the really simple answer we give people is basically because it works. After doing this for more than 6 months and working with different groups, we've just found certain things work and certain things don't. And we've also received some questions. So when participants start meeting, one of the first questions is, what do we do during the meetings? And then one of the second questions is, how can we keep our meetings short and productive? And so really the conversation template was built to kind of solve those 2 problems or answer those 2 questions, which is number 1, it's a way to guide your participant meetings. Number two, it's a way to keep your meetings short and productive. And it's also a way to help kind of avoid common obstacles. So that's really why that we recommend using the template. And feel free to integrate it in whatever way is going to work best for you. But we do recommend that you try it out and see if it works or not. So here's a simple presentation of the template. There's 4 short parts to it. One is to just share your progress. And you can keep it very simple, right? Just whatever happened last week, how you did with your habit. The second is to share how you're feeling, right? So you can say, when I think about my progress, I feel blank because I want blank. I feel blank because I want blank. Third is to say, for this coming week or for this coming period of time, this week I choose to blank because I want blank. So I choose to blank because I want blank. And then finally, to ask for help. Would you be willing to blank to help me? Would you be willing to blank to help me? And here's a little example of what this template might look like in action. And for this, let's say that the goal was to work out 4 times a week. So this person might say, last week I worked out 3 times. So very simple, they're just stating the progress, whatever happened last week. Second, they can say, when I think about my progress, I feel discouraged because I want to improve my health. So they're just sharing where they are right now. They wanted to improve their health, they want to hit their goal, but they felt a little bit discouraged because they weren't able to hit the goal last week. Next, this week, I choose to schedule 5 times to work out because I want an extra opportunity in case I miss a day. So I wasn't able to make my goal last week. I want to make a decision for next week, what I can do to help myself achieve my goal. So I'm going to schedule 5 times. And that way, if I miss a day, then I'll be able to make up. And then finally, would you be willing to check in with me on Thursday to help me, right? So now I'm going to say, hey, I want to ask for help so you can support me in building my habit. And the best way that you can support me is to check in with me on Thursday. And so would you be willing to do that for me? And there you have it. It can be pretty simple. And this way you can keep your conversations pretty short and still be hopefully very productive. Maybe even just 5 minutes or 10 minutes is good enough. And so that way you can make maximum progress without having to spend a lot of time. Next, for those that actually do want to spend a little bit more time, we just wanted to share, some things that we found helpful. Is if you do have a little bit more time, you want to go beyond the template. One thing that's helpful to do is just share what happened, how you felt, and what you want. And this can be in relation to the template, or it can be, in relation to your habit, or it can be in relation to anything that's going on. You can just even share what happened to you last week in general, how you're feeling, and what you're wanting out of that situation, or in general. If you're on the receiving end, then it always helps just to listen. And as we're listening, we want to build understanding. We want to understand what's going on with the other person. And so you can just clarify. You can clarify what happened, you can clarify how they were feeling, and you clarify what they were wanting. Oh, that sounds frustrating. Was that frustrating for you? Or were you wanting to make progress? It sounds like, it would be good for you to make some progress, that you were wanting that. And this is be helpful for us just to understand each other. This helps us build a relationship. And so really the key principles here in these meetings and in general in this relationship are, number 1, building understanding what's going on within the other person, how they're feeling, what they're wanting, how they're making decisions. And then also respect, just realizing that they're building the habit and so they can make the decisions that are best for them, and to just respect that. We can always offer suggestions, but let them ultimately make the decision. Finally, just some quick things to avoid that we found can sometimes be not so helpful in the meetings. One is judging or evaluating. And when we say judging or evaluating, really we're talking about saying anything is good or anything is bad, or you should do something or you shouldn't do something. We can just let things be as they are, let them make decisions. And if people are feeling a certain way, if they're doing something, we can just let that be, and that's okay. Also avoid trying to change things or try to fix things, right? If someone is feeling discouraged, we don't need to say, oh, hey, it's okay. It'll be fine next week. This is kind of like trying to fix whatever's going on or trying to change how they're feeling. Rather than trying to change or trying to fix anything, we can just seek understanding. It sounds like you're feeling kind of discouraged. Was that because you missed your goal last week? And I know you really wanted to improve your health. And in this way, we can just understand each other. And then finally, any help or suggestions that weren't requested. We just want to give the person the space and the respect to be able to make their own decisions. And so you can always offer suggestions, right? Hey, would you be open to trying this next week? But if something wasn't requested or they just felt not to go with whatever you suggested, that's okay. We can just respect that. At the end here, just a couple of helpful tips. Number one, keep in contact with your sponsor. That way they know what's going on. They can know best how to support you. Number two, to keep a copy of the conversation template with you for your meetings. That'll just help kind of guide the conversation. Number three, to put meetings in your calendar or set an alarm. That way you won't forget. And then also to keep a journal to track your progress and how you're feeling. It's always helpful to put things down on paper. And then also it's really nice to have a record so you can come back after a month or 2 months and see what progress you've made. Finally, some additional resources. Number one, I did mention earlier, we have a conversation template breakdown video, so you can go ahead and check that out. I'll put a link for that in the description. And then also you can talk to your sponsor about any additional resources about learning more about our program. And we always love feedback, so always let your sponsor know what's working and what's not. And then feel free to email me at any time at david@seekandfind.life with any questions, comments, concerns. We always love to hear from you and make sure that you're getting success out of the program. Thank you so much for joining the Seek and Find Life Habit program, and we look forward to seeing you achieve your goals.